Okay, I'm gonna. Okay, so hello everybody. Welcome. I'm sorry I'm dark. I'm gonna be going to the light very soon. We have the pleasure of having our beautiful sister Karen Holton. She's a longtime friend. And Karen, I'm gonna ask with the normal question, which is, welcome. We love you very much, and please spill the beans.
Okay. All right, I
Okay, when
will.
has everything started? And I'll let you talk now. We love you.
Okay. Yeah, I love you and I love your audience. I have an abundance of unconditional love. So I'm just going to send that out in the beginning and I'll tell you
Thank
about my
you.
life. Um, so,
Beautiful.
um, as far back as I could remember, I was aware of beings and things that other people couldn't see and couldn't acknowledge as being real. So here I was, very small child. My life was very crazy because my mother, I don't know how to say it, but basically, my mother was not very much wanting to be a mother. She was partying and running around, and we were with babysitters all the time. I never knew when I would see her or my father. It was crazy. In the midst of all of that,
Yep.
I became aware that there were beings that I couldn't see. Now, I can't label at this point whether they're extraterrestrial, whether they're angels, whether they're interdimensionals. Like, I have no idea. I'm just giving you what I remember.
Okay.
So I can remember when I was about 4 or 5 years old, I was terrified at night, partly because I knew that there were beings around me. Sometimes they would sit on my bed or make a breeze on my face or something to let me know that there was somebody there. But
Oh,
I didn't know what was going on, and I couldn't see anyone with my eyes. And I was so scared, I would tuck myself under the covers. I couldn't even breathe because I was so scared. And then shortly after this, there was a being. And now I don't know, I'm just being really honest here. I don't know whether this being was something I was seeing with my visual eyes or whether I was seeing it in my imagination. I have
okay.
no
Yes.
idea, but it looked like a giant griffin. Now, I didn't find out until I was in my 20s that it was a griffin. But going back to when I was a small child, it had an eagle head, eagle's wings, and it had the body of a lion. But the whole
Oh
thing,
my, beautiful.
but the whole thing was made out of fire. So I don't know. This might have been, I've got an image here. It's
Okay,
from my
let
book.
me
Whoops.
put oh, I
I
don't
don't know if you can.
remember
There we go.
how.
Don't
Oh,
worry
oh
about
here
it.
wait, oh, I
Oh,
know it.
okay.
Here we go.
Okay. So I have an image. Whoops. I have trying to get it straight here. There's me with my fiery griffin when I was a small
Oh,
child.
beautiful.
And and um and it let me know that I was safe. That is, that if I ever needed it, to just call on it, like in my mind, I didn't have to say it out loud, and it would appear and it would protect me. And it was the most wonderful, wonderful friend I ever had that was what we would consider paranormal. Now, I don't know if these were like regular ETs and that was a screen memory, or whether I conjured it, or whether it was just me making it up in my mind. Like, I have no idea, but it was real to me and it really helped me a lot. So that was my first really big experience. But then I had other
Beautiful.
things that when I tried to talk to my mom about it, she would say that I had an overactive imagination. And she would tell me, don't talk like that because people will think you're crazy and then they'll think the family's crazy. So don't do that or you're going to cause harm. So I didn't know what to do with these experiences. But I remember another time, I was only like 4 or 5 years old. I remember I was sitting on the toilet and I was looking at the floor, and the floor was black and white checkered tiles, large checkers, like on a checker board,
Yes,
but
black and
very like
white.
about a 10 inches by 10 inches, quite big. And I noticed that over on the edge where it attached to the wall, it was moving. And I just leaned forward and watched it. I didn't have an emotion. Wasn't thinking, what is this? I was just watching it. And
Wow.
all of a sudden the floor started to roll like waves, rolling and rolling and rolling. And when it got to the point where I started getting scared, then it just dropped flat to the normal floor again. So all kinds of experiences. I had my older brother would lock me in the closet, and I wasn't scared of being in the closet. I was just mad because I wanted to play and participate in what my two brothers were doing. And
Yep.
and I wanted to know what they were doing, and all of a sudden I could see. I didn't know it was remote viewing at the time, but all
Yep.
of a sudden, I could see what they were doing. And when they finally let me out, I laughed. I said, I saw everything that you guys were doing. Well, they didn't they didn't like that. They just made fun of me. And that was another experience. So going through my life when I was a little bit older than that, I can remember I went to this river, and this is on Vancouver Island in Canada, and I went
Yep.
to this river, and there's these big flat rocks, and it was beautiful, warm, sunny day. And I laid down on my towel on this rock, and I looked up, and I saw this beautiful bald eagle, and it was going round and round, way high up in the sky. And all I did was express the desire to see things from its perspective. And boom, like a flash, I could see through the eyes of the eagle. I could see myself down below lying on the rock. I
Wow.
could see all the
Beautiful.
streams and the river and the forest and everything. And it was so wonderful. And I knew that if I could do that once, I could do that again. And I've actually done that pretty well every summer. I will do that just to see if I can still do it. And so it
Wow.
wasn't a consciousness transfer, it was me sharing the consciousness of this eagle. And
Yes.
there's so many other things, so many other things. Like, for instance, I had an outside job where I was sweeping a parking lot for a shopping mall, and it looked like it was going to rain. And I just asked the rain, can you please not rain on me? I'm okay with you raining, but can I stay dry? And the rain stopped like a curtain in front of me. And wherever I moved, the rain was not. So, I mean,
Oh
I just
my
had
goodness.
all these experiences, but I didn't have language. I didn't have concepts. I didn't have any kind of validation. So I just kept all these experiences close to my heart. And that is how I got one more I want to tell you about. And that
Yes.
is, I was in bed and I had a cat, and this is when I was a young adult. And the cat was chasing something under the bed. It was nighttime. It wasn't completely dark, but it was quite dark. And all of a sudden, I went, I wonder what my cat is seeing. And boom, I could see through my cat's eyes. And what I did not know at all was that spiders, this was a spider my cat was chasing, but when the cat's eyes look at something in the dark, they reflect light onto it. And the spider had like stripes and blotches that were like fluorescently lit up every time the cat looked at it. So the cat was chasing it. I was like, wow. And then boom, I was right back in my own consciousness. So I've been able to share consciousness all my life, one way or another. I didn't know what it meant. I didn't know, whatever the experts would say this was. I didn't know anything. I just had these experiences all through my life, and they made
Beautiful.
my life actually more enjoyable and interesting. But anytime I tried to share this with anybody, they just thought I was a crazy person, and I didn't like being disrespected. So I didn't share a lot of these
Yep.
experiences.
And
Yeah.
with only with people that you found they they respected these phenomena.
actually didn't find anybody back then. I'm an old person, so I was born in 1956. I'm 70 years old. And back then, there was not a lot of talk about this stuff because this was the talk of crazy people who should be in mental institutions. And boy, I sure did not want to end up in a mental
Yeah.
institution. So I kept my mouth mostly shut. But then when I wrote my book, Transdimensional Meet the New Neighbors, the first two chapters I talk, oh, thank you. The first two chapters I talk about my life and things leading up to my extraterrestrial contact, including about 5 years before ET contact. That's when I had contact with an angel. And that
Oh,
was
beautiful. I want to
amazing.
know
That
that.
saved my life. That saved my life. Seriously, it only happened one time. It was during a really dark time in my life. Long story short, I had split up with my husband. He was remarried, and he had convinced me that the children needed to live with him and his wife for a while, so that they could experience their father. And I saw the logic in it and I let them go. But then he prevented me from seeing them, and it broke my heart.
Oh
I
my
was
gosh.
devastated and I was going to off myself. The funny thing about this story is that I was going to off myself in a peculiar way. And it wasn't until 2 years later, after my angelic experience, I met a woman and she asked me where I lived. And I told her, and she said, "Oh my God, I know the mother of the man who killed himself while living in that house." That was before I moved in. So, what I think happened was I was in a very low vibrational state of grief and mourning, and somehow I think I picked up the residual energy in the
Energy of the
house
house.
that gave me the idea to do this. But
Yeah.
before I had the chance, that's when and I don't even know for sure if they were angels, but I'll just, do you want to hear about what
Of
happened, or do you
course.
want?
Yes,
Okay.
exactly. Oh my
Okay.
gosh.
So what happened was, it was the middle of the night. I was crying my eyes out. I just felt I couldn't live without my children. I was very protective of them. I love them very much. And I just I couldn't handle the grief. All of a sudden, it was like an overlay. So I could see out of my eyes, but I could also see over top, kind of a little bit transparent, what looked like 1,000 points of light. And the light was flashing out the sides of each one, giving them the illusion of angels. But when they
Oh,
spoke, and when I say
beautiful.
they, I don't know if it was a they or an it or a he or a she, but they spoke in perfect harmony, all at the same time with the same voice. And they asked me why I wanted to leave my life. And I told them, I said, "I'm in too much pain. I can't handle it. And life has got to be more than this. And, I'm just tired of it." And they said, "Well, if you want to leave, you can. There are exit points because life is never supposed to be unbearable. But if I chose to stay, they would give me a gift." And I thought,
Oh,
gift? Oh
nice.
my gosh. First of all, who has these experiences? I'd never heard of it. And who gets offered a gift? And I said, "I don't know, but can I think about it?" And they said, "Yeah, when you're ready, just let us know because we're always around." So even though we don't see these angelic beings, they are all around and are absolutely aware of what our needs are and everything. So after that, this never happened again. It was just this one time thing. But after that, I went for these long walks. Obviously, I'm still here. I did not off myself. But I thought about all the things that might help me. I thought, well, if I had a lot of money, then I could hire a lawyer. I could get my kids back, but I knew that wasn't it. And then I thought of all kinds of other ideas, including if I was popular or famous or, whatever, all the different scenarios where I could get my kids back.
Back.
But I knew none of those were right. And I thought, what is it? I have to be really sure about what I want, right? Like I had to be clear. And then I realized what I needed was wisdom, because if I had wisdom, I could figure out how to get my kids back. I could be a better mother. I could be a better person. I could make my own finances. I could do what I needed to do while here on earth instead of feeling like a victim all the time. So
Yep.
I just said out loud while I was walking, wisdom. I need wisdom. Could you please help me with wisdom? Well, then, about still walking on my long walk, a little, I don't know, 15 minutes later, I kind of get the sensation in my mind, Karen, do you want the quick method or the slow method? And I thought, what? And I just went, I want the quick method, because I thought they would magically turn me into a wise person. And I didn't realize that the slow method would have been the softer, easier journey. And the quick method was going to be harsh and lots of things happening that were not pleasant. But what happened is, because I had the gift, I could see things from a different perspective, and I could learn from my experiences. So all kinds of crazy things still happened, but the difference was I was now looking at it all from a different perspective where I could learn, and I learned very quickly, and I had so many incredible experiences. And that led to later on, about 5 years later, when I had my ET experience. So that's sort of how I got to that.
Beautiful. I'm so glad. Tell me, did it look? Of course, I want to know, but I know it's a bit private information, but I want to know if you got to get your kids back or visit them at
Ah,
least.
thank you. What happened is within 6 months they were back, and we were all under one roof. Not the former husband and his wife, but the kids and I were back. I found a way, and I
Beautiful.
got them back. So it was less than 6 months. And of course, they were with me then until they reached adulthood. So, yes, yes, it did.
Blessing, my sister.
I knew what
I
to do.
wanted to
And
know that. Okay, we can continue. You can go and we're gonna go to the ET, of course, right? But
okay.
you can continue, my sister. I'm loving your story.
Thank you. So, besides these weird experiences throughout my life, there's nothing special about me. I'm a very ordinary person, just as flawed as anybody else. I have the best of intentions, which sadly they can go awry quite easily. But basically, I really believe that I was given this ET experience to share so that other people could know that they are also capable. Us as humans, we have certain gifts that are given to us. I call it technology. Technologies in our brain and in our field that allow everyone to have the kind of experiences that I've had. But we've been programmed not to believe it, or to think you're crazy, or to dismiss it, right?
Yep.
So, a long story short, at the time, I was not doing any ayahuasca or mushrooms or any psychedelics. I wasn't even using cannabis, nothing at the time. And I went to bed one night, and boom, I was aboard what I call the big ship. So, just so you all know, I'm using language to the best of my ability to name things in my experience, and it may not be the best use of language, but it's the best I have. So I call it the big ship, and
Yep.
you would all consider it very much like a mothership. So
Ship.
it
Yep.
houses millions of beings. These are huge. And there's some even bigger than the one I was on, I learned later, like the size of the earth, even bigger, like they're massive,
Wow.
massive communities. And they can do this because they
Incredible.
vibe on the love harmonic. They are peaceful and loving. They understand the true nature of love. It's not just a warm, fuzzy feeling. It also includes self control and patience and kindness and mildness. and faith and so many other attributes. And these beings are like at our next stage of development. So when we stop anger, contentiousness, jealousy, war, fighting, violence, once we're ready to step out of all of that, then we can take our place at our next stage of development and live very much like these beings that I met. So when it first happened, I have to confess, I never had a spaceship come and pick me up or beam me aboard. It didn't work like that for me. I went to sleep and I was there. So it's kind of like when I'm here, I'm here, and when I'm there, I'm there. But there's a time dilation. So I went on an adventure every single night for 3 months of our Earth time, but it
Mhm.
played out as though it was more like 3.5 years worth of adventure. So it started off with the orientation process. These beings look very much like us. Some are taller, most are taller, wider frames, wider hands and feet, but some are actually shorter than us. And just like on Earth, we're all of the same race. We're of the same species, but we're of the same race here on Earth. We're humans. We are of the human race, right? But look at
Yep.
the diversity in skin tones and eye shape and how
Ties.
exactly, and even within a single family here on Earth, you can have different ears and noses, and we have diversity. So the same is true aboard the big ship. So there's so much variety. Nobody cares what lineage or race they are. I believe that we are all of the same species. That is how they're able to produce offspring and have these different experiences together, but they're not really that different. So I was never frightened or afraid. I was overwhelmed with the love and the patience and the kindness like nothing I've
Beautiful.
even experienced here on Earth, but something I really look forward to us all learning how to live this way in the future. So at
Yes.
first, so then I would wake up in the morning and I would go, what the heck just happened? Was I dreaming? Was I hallucinating? Like I didn't even know what was going on in the beginning, but I would wake up and it would be the next morning. And I'd spend the whole day trying to figure out what was going on, go to sleep, boom, be back on the big ship. And it was congruent. Every night I picked up where I left off. Sometimes
Yep.
I was gone for weeks, sometimes months even, and then wake up, boom, and it's the very next morning. And at first it was very unsettling. And I stopped all my social contacts here on Earth. I stopped going out, meeting friends, even talking on the phone. I had to stop everything because
Wow.
I had to unpack what was happening to me and find out. And then after I realized I wasn't dreaming, then I thought maybe I was crazy. Like I had to sort of sort this all out in my mind. And well,
For
of course,
sharing
yeah.
with the closest people, Yeah.
No, no. Well, yeah, I did tell my kids, but they just thought, I've always talked about weird experiences that they didn't really relate to, and nobody really took me seriously. And then I realized it was because I had to figure this out for myself. So it started off with the orientation process. I was assigned a buddy. I was assigned my own room where I could go and learn things, and I also want to tell you about the big ship. The big ship
Yes.
is a living being, it is a conscious being of itself.
Wow.
Everybody
Oh my
relies on,
gosh.
yeah, everybody relies on telepathy, even the big ship. And if those that were born on aboard the big ship, they were able to interface directly with the big ship, that consciousness. I wasn't.
Wow.
I needed to use a technology that I call the virtual reality system. It was just like a little narrow headband with two little nubs that would go around my head, and the nubs would rest on my temples. And
Yeah.
I would do this while I was in my quarters, usually sitting or lying on my bed, because when I was um, learning and being taught things, it was just like real life. You couldn't tell the difference. So I always made sure I was on my bed so I didn't, trip or fall, because it's hard for, it took a long time for me to differentiate between what was the virtual reality and what actually I was doing. This is very, very much like the same thing. And that's when
Wow.
I started to learn telepathy. And there was 4 stages to learning telepathy. It started very, very slowly with um, I would
I'd
put
love
on
to
the
learn.
Oh, yeah, well, anybody can, because we all have the technology for it. So at first, I was shown some very simple shapes like a circle or a triangle or a square. And then what I needed to do was to keep that image in my imagination for 3 seconds without any chatter or any other thoughts, opinions, nothing.
Yes.
And then later for 6 seconds, and then for 9 seconds. So the goal was always to hit 9 seconds of being able to hold that shape in my mind. And when
Yes.
I achieved the goal, I got a sensation that was like getting a nice warm hug. I can't explain it, but the big ship gave me a reward in a physical, very pleasant physical sensation, which of course made me want to practice more and more. The other half of each lesson was the ship created an image in my mind of an image in my mind of me being in a room with 6 other beings. And now this was the really hard part. What I had to do was learn how to keep my thoughts to myself and not share them. And then I had to learn how to share them with maybe only 2 of the 6. And it was easy for me to share actually my thoughts with the whole group, because they don't speak English, but to translate it, basically I was known as a very loud and very kind of sloppy projector of communication. And the hardest part, I didn't think I'd ever get it, was learning to keep my thoughts to myself. So if you can imagine, these are big communities. People aren't going to want all their dirty laundry and concerns and this and that flooding out to everybody else. Some things are meant to be kept private. Some things are meant to be shared, and that's part of the sort of the protocols or manners, or the way that it was done on the big ship. So I practiced every afternoon, every afternoon. The second level is now more complex shapes. So instead of a triangle or a circle or a square, it was now a cube or a pyramid or a sphere, maybe moving, bouncing or something, and I had to learn how to
Okay.
do that. And then, of course, once I hit the 9 second point, then I was, the illusion in my mind was of me being back in the room, practicing keeping my thoughts to myself, practicing sharing them with only a couple or with the whole room. The third level
Awesome.
is to learn how to keep my emotions out of it and not have any thoughts. Now I was able to see things from my life here on earth, but also from aboard the big ship. And I was able to see processes. So, for instance, I might see a young family walking through the woods instead of just 1 or 2 shapes, like it was more complex. And once I learned to do that, then the fourth level is the appropriate use of emotion, and very complex interconnecting things. And once I got to that point, and once I could keep my thoughts private or share, Once I
Mm?
got to that point, now I could really start my life aboard the big ship in a much fuller way, because now I could be around my ET brothers, sisters, cousins, and not be offensive and not be uncomfortable for them to be around me. I could communicate basically in like any language. Once you learn it, then you get better and better the more you use it. So that was very interesting. I get into all of this in my book. Basically,
Beautiful.
my book is not technical. My book brings you with me onto my journey so that you can experience what I experienced, and it can give you some ideas on
Do you have any link I can post on the chat for
well,
your book?
um, I do, but let me
Or is it
see
on
where
Amazon
it's
or
on
anywhere?
Amazon. So just
Okay,
remember the
tell me the
title.
name, I'll write it on the chat.
Okay, it's Transdimensional Meet the New Neighbors. Transdimensional Meet the New Neighbors. So this is like a whole reality most of us don't even know about, and I consider them our neighbors. You see, the thing is that the big ship is not in outer space. It's not. I'm
No?
going to no, I'm going to explain it in a way that everyone can get the visual. So imagine a Venn diagram. A Venn diagram is things that appear to be separate, but they overlap in a small space. And so if you can imagine a huge daisy, like a flower, the daisy, and imagine that each petal is a different dimensional reality. It's Holton has two O's. Imagine that each petal, sorry, I
Okay,
do
let me check. Oh, I
appreciate it. I
cannot.
just
I'm
want
gonna
to let
write
you
it
know.
again. I'm gonna
Okay,
write it
thank you.
again.
So, if you can imagine this huge daisy, each petal is a different dimensional reality, a different timeline, perhaps spiritual realms, perhaps another uh, position in the multiverse. Like if you, there are more places, I use the term loosely, than you could even imagine. And so the big ship sits in an interdimensional envelope, and that's like the center of that daisy. And so all these different beings from different realities, different dimensions, different
I hope I'm not
frequencies.
wrong with your name again. Please let it be right now. Is it right, sister?
Um,
Wait, sorry, not that one.
it's
Oh,
okay.
I wrote two O's again.
That's okay. It's okay. I'm sure they'll find
Is
it
it
if
like
they put the
this? Is it like this?
uh let's
Holton?
see. Holton.
Ah, it's
Holton.
a no instead of the E. Okay, I'm gonna remove
Yeah.
this
Yeah. So but if you just put in transdimensional meet the new
like
neighbors
that.
on Amazon anywhere in the world, you'll find it. So
Am I right? Tell me.
this big ship, it sits in that's right, it sits in an interdimensional envelope. And so it's not here, it's not there, it's not anywhere that I could ever describe or even understand. But from that position, beings from everywhere can come aboard. And each big ship has its own purpose. Some have the same purposes, some have different purposes. But this one here was to serve as hospitality, training, a first contact point for physical beings to join them, visit them, and spend time with them. And then we had all kinds of learnings and experiences that we're supposed to bring back and tell our world all about what we experienced. So that's why I wrote the book. And so
Beautiful. Hope everyone is enjoying. Okay, so our sister must have lost connection. She's gonna come back very soon. Thank you very much, missing time, my sister. Okay, my friends, we still have 25 minutes. We're gonna try getting our sister back. Um, if you have any questions, either way, my friends, we're gonna have Karen again. Okay, on the 26th next month. Okay, so you can count on that. Adrian, my brother. Okay, so guys, while Karen Holton is not here, I'm gonna show you a video that, that my brother Andy done. Okay, it's beautiful. Oh, sorry, wrong camera. Okay, let's start it. That's me, guys. Beautiful, right? Look at that. This is my brother Andy who done this. Okay, we're back.
Okay, good. I just kept trying to get back in. It just suddenly kicked me off. I don't know why.
Don't worry, sister. We are back.
So
Where were we, sister? We were on the
I was telling everybody about the big ship. It sits in an interdimensional envelope so that
yes.
beings from all kinds of different realities can come. I was also saying that each of the big ships have their own purposes. And this particular big ship, the purpose is for hospitality, training, it's a first point of contact, and apparently they are inviting all of us all the time, and it's when we're ready. And I didn't know that I was ready, like I didn't plan any of that, but
Mhm.
then when we're ready we can go there with our consciousness. And so there's a few different ways of being aboard the big ship. You can actually, I think in the beginning I actually was there physically, or excuse me, an exact copy of me, because they did this scan where I walked through like this big tube. It's about
Yeah.
7 feet high. And they were able to record everything about me, not just my
Wow.
DNA, but my personality, even past lives, all kinds of things that they were able with their technology to do.
To
And
find
then
out
after,
about you, scan in a
yeah,
way.
and find out what my learning style was, you name it, everything. And then after that, we experimented with a few other ways that I could be there. Uh, and that was interesting too. Did you want to hear about that?
Of course.
Okay.
Uh,
Well,
sorry.
one time what I did was a consciousness swap with another being who lived aboard the big ship. And that was really interesting. Now, that was just for a very short period of time. Now, time again is different there. Like I said, it's definitely dilated, but beyond that, because we're on in an artificial environment, well, it's not artificial, but it's just my best way to get my point across.
Yeah,
You know,
created.
we don't have, 24 hours in a day. We don't have night and day and circadian rhythms and seasons. We don't have any of that aboard the big ship. So I'm just estimating, when I talk about time, that we did this or did that. But anyway, it wasn't a very long time. I would say it was just maybe like equivalent of 24 hours or 48 hours of our time. So when
Okay.
I came back, it worked out quite well. It was a bit weird being, looking different, and um, other subtle differences, the way I move my body and stuff I had to get a little bit used to, but it wasn't bad. But when I came back, I went out to get some groceries and I ran into a friend of mine and he said, Karen, oh my God, where have you been? I've been so worried about you. You didn't answer the door and you didn't answer the phone or anything. And I thought to myself, oh my God, what am I going to tell him? I can't tell him that I was hanging out with ETs aboard a transdimensional or interdimensional ship. So I just said to him, "Oh, I was depressed for a couple of days, but I'm okay now." And he seemed satisfied with that. So I mean, a certain amount of it, you can't really just tell people the truth
No.
because they can't handle it.
Nope.
Yeah.
They're the society brains
Yeah. Yep.
control.
So another time I tried a clone body and again, this is all my own language, and I'm filtering all of this through my own perceptual arena. I'm trying to convert it into, speech so that people can get the gist of my experience. So another time I used what I call the one size fits all clone body. They're all identical beings from all different walks of reality can inhabit one of these clone bodies.
Okay.
And they all look the same, but you can tell different beings apart, first of all, because you're using telepathy, but also,
Yeah.
people have their own gesturing and their own posture and their own body movement, whatever. But these look very much like stereotypical grays. They look almost embryonic. They have underdeveloped ears, nose, mouth. There's no need to eat or go to the bathroom or anything like that when you're
Wow.
using one. They're meant to be temporary. I don't know how they're made, and I don't know what they do with them afterwards. But I actually found that experience rather frightening. So
Wow.
we tried it, and I looked in the mirror while I was aboard the big ship, and it freaked me right out because I discovered in that moment that we all lie to ourselves. When we look in the mirror, we tell ourselves whatever we need so we can go out publicly and be comfortable and be confident, right? So, all
Yeah.
the things that I might think give me privilege, like being white or whatever, right? Those things were gone. Everything was gone. And it really emphasized that the important part to all of us is what's on the inside, what our heart
Exactly.
is like, how we think, how we do things. So, anyway, it was decided that, at least I think it was decided, I was never actually told this, I'm just
Mhm.
guessing, that they eventually created a clone body. So it's an exact replica of me. And that way, just my consciousness at night would go from my physical body sleeping in my bed to the big ship, and I could have, my amazing experiences there.
Yes.
The only difference is the body I have there, it's still there. In fact, I'm hoping I'm going to go there when I die. Not that I'm planning on dying soon, but I'm just saying.
Okay.
Um,
Yes,
um,
there you it's if you're on the other side of the veil
yeah,
in that eternal body, it's like a consciousness harbor, like nest, you know what I mean? Like it's a body where you can slide your consciousness there. I do love that idea.
Yeah, it's a beautiful fit. So I don't have the imperfections that I have, like for instance, crooked nose, arthritis, felt fantastic the whole time I was there. I made some very close friends. I did some training. Um, it was incredible, absolutely incredible. But one of the hard parts was coming back. And I'd go out into the social reality in the town I lived in and see how sick everybody is. We're not well. Humans are not doing well for whatever reasons. I mean, you could say it's the toxins in the food or the water, whatever, I don't know, but we're not doing very well. And we
Yes,
could
things are
be,
getting worse, right?
yes, and we could be so much healthier and more vibrant and all of that. So it was depressing, to come back and to be in this world. And so it only
I
lasted for
understand.
3 months of our Earth time, and then it stopped just as abruptly as it started. It stopped. And then I'm not
Wow.
kidding, it took me a number of years just to sort it out, to sort out what
I
happened, because this is like 3.5 years of experiences crammed into
three
just every
months.
night for 3 months. It took me a long time to sort it out. I have a spiritual mentor. I call him Bob the Gray. I'll show you a picture of him. He
Oh,
looks a bit like
beautiful.
a stereotypical gray, but he is not. He's um, it was really interesting because when I first met him, he was showing up in my conscious mind. He was showing up in the portal, what I call the portal of my imagination. There he is there. And
Yeah.
I
Oh,
thought I was
nice. He was like
imagining
a
him.
investigator.
I did not think he was a real thing. And one day I started making fun of him, and then he left me. He didn't come back until after I started having these ET experiences. Anyway, he came back and he helps me. Um, Bob, his name isn't really Bob. He just agreed, sure, you want to call him, I could call him Bob. It was just easy, right? He had a
Yeah,
fantastic,
it's like you arrange it with him, so
yeah.
it wouldn't scare you as well, right?
Well, the thing is that these beings, whether they're spiritual, whether they're ET, whatever, they're not like humans. They don't get offended. They're not offended if you use the wrong term. Not at all. They're very loving and very accepting. So Bob's got a great sense of humor, I think because he didn't want to scare me. And he always appears in like black slacks, a black turtleneck sweater, and a black fedora. And he always makes me laugh. Anyway, what he does is he helps me to remember, he helps me to release my memories so that I can remember how things went at different times. Like I know certain stuff happened, but I may not know every detail. He releases the memory. And when he releases the memory, it's just like watching a movie. Like I have to be watch what I'm doing because what's going on in my memory is so strong that it overrides what my physical senses are telling me.
Vision. Wow.
Yeah.
So you may have to
So,
sit down or don't do that while you're driving, for example.
yeah. Well, yeah, generally it happens to me when I'm alone sitting on my bed. That's usually when it happens for me. So it's quite safe. A couple of times I've been out walking in the woods, it's happened. So he helps to release my memories. And once in 2020, he actually facilitated me to go back to the big ship. And I'm not sure if it was remote viewing, astral projection, out of body, lucid dreaming. I think all of those things describe what happened. And they may not even be separate things, they might all be the same phenomenon. And he helped me to go back and to pick up some more information. But this time when I was there, I was not there in physical. I was there in what I call etheric. And
Yep.
then another thing that
Conscious.
happens, yeah, and then another thing that happens for me is I am aware that I go to meetings. And no, not like AA kind of meetings. I go to meetings aboard the big ship. I'm aware that I'm what they call an exopolitical ambassador. I represent humans, but I'm not the only one who does that. I was told there's millions of us who go there
Okay.
and we give an account of what's going on Earth, how it's affecting us, what our opinions are, what we're perceiving going on, and they
Oh,
really are
interesting.
interested in what's going on here on Earth. The problem is most people forget because it can interfere with your soul evolution here on Earth. So we signed up to be here on Earth as humans, not to be constantly in other worlds, because we got a job to do while we're here. So a lot of people think they were just dreaming and they just brush it off and don't realize that they are actually ambassadors doing a very, very important work, reporting in and reporting, and it's all the data is collected. And I'm not sure
Interesting.
where it
Like
ends
a
up, but yeah.
subconscious job, not job, but m- mission, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
because it's subconscious, we kind of don't really have control over.
it has a mind of its own, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, but
So
I do understand that it's a way that they can reach us and uh, understand what's happening down here without having to come down here. And
mhm,
linking up with your experience of the conscious going to the bird, to the ego, and to the cat, and then it happened with them as well,
mhm.
right? It
So
looks like an evolution.
I consider myself a transdimensional being. Transdimensional just means we can go into other dimensional realities and we can come back from them. And it's not really anything so special. We all have the capability of doing it. And when we're ready, we start to pick up on the little signals. So the signals, this is just how I describe it because this is sort of how it happens for me. The
Tell us, tell
signals
us.
is often, how you have peripheral vision that you're not always really aware of because you're focused
Yes.
on what's straight ahead. Well, the same thing with our consciousness. So we're kind of directing our consciousness, but off to the peripheral, bubbling in our communications, are things we see. So we see something out of the corner of our eye, and it might appear as a shadowy figure at first. And so what we tend to do is default to fear and brush it away, or say, oh, that's my imagination. But if we let those things convalesce into our reality, often people will have what I call overlays. Well, everyone knows what downloads are. That's when you just get information dropped in your brain all at once and then it unfolds and you sort it out. But it's also very much like an overlay where you're able to see through your own physical eyes, but the inside mechanisms for your imagination is much stronger, and it
Okay.
overrides what you're seeing with your eyes. And now you can start to see other things. It's like an overlay, and
Oh,
it's pretty cool
I'm gonna
how it
try that,
works.
sister. I'm gonna
Yeah,
try
it's
it.
pretty cool how it works. And so, like I said, I'm pretty ordinary person with these amazing experiences, but I know I'm here to tell people, and I appreciate you having me on your show so much and sharing me with your
Welcome.
audience so that people can hear what I have to say. They don't have to believe me. That's not a problem. I'm not looking for validation. But it might help them when they're wanting to reach out for contact. And, and generally, though, I find it takes solitary time. It's hard to do when you're looking after babies and family and going to your job. And, it makes it really, really difficult. What I recommend people do is engineer their own life. Take a calendar the whole month, put in what you can't change, put in, where you got to work, where you got to help the kids, where you got to do this, that, and the next thing. And then you block out sections that are your own time. And you can either go out into the woods or to the beach, or just spend time lying on your bed with your eyes closed and just allow yourself to become what you already are, actually. and stop listening to experts. Experts are, well, they're only experts in their own lives. They're not experts in our lives. We're the experts in our lives. And we can
Exactly.
go
We
within,
control ourselves, each
yeah.
of us.
So, yeah, so that is basically what happened. I actually got to participate in training. I got to understand that there are programs also to do with the big ship I was on. They have a pre-settlement program and they have a resettlement program. Excuse me. So the pre-settlement program is where we would do scientific expeditions to other worlds. So what I found out was there are a myriad of worlds that have everything, the plants and the water and the atmosphere and the gravity and the bugs and the flying creatures and the creepy crawly things and the beautiful deer and all of that. They may not be identical, just like, when you have alligators in one part of our world, you have
Yes.
crocodiles in another, right? But pretty close. And and but what's of really prime importance to this group of ETs is that they get that this analysis is done, this expedition is done where we gather data. So we're under quarantine, we're in a small area, well, relatively small, maybe a few miles by a few miles. We do not interact with the animals because the animals have memory. They have a genetic memory, and they also have some common consciousness with each other. We don't want to disrupt anything. And we had to gather the data, go back to the big ship, everything. We go into like classrooms. They're not styled the same. They're usually a circle with a holographic like projection in the
Oh,
middle.
nice.
And everything we did while we were on these planets was recorded, including our own thoughts and feelings about being there. And then they plan the best way to populate one of these worlds with humanoids without disrupting the harmony and the balance of the biosphere and the populations that are already there. Everything is given so much respect, um, and
Oh,
it has to
nice.
be there that way to ensure the success of the whole operation. And then when
Yeah.
it's time to resettle, who gets resettled? I guess I should say that first. Well, maybe I'll just
Hmm.
finish what I'm saying. Um, so what happens is they don't just come in and rescue people, like, how we're having a lot of problems here on earth. They're not going to just come in and rescue everybody. They're only going to take the people who have worked in their own life to vibe as close to the love harmonic as possible. They're not going to take this infection of psychopathy and derangement and all of that
Yes.
and put that aboard big ships and put that aboard these beautiful, pristine
Planets.
worlds,
No
because
way.
they'd be ruined. There'd be no point. But those of us that are striving to be loving, caring, higher vibrational beings, we have a chance, should the shit hit the fan, to be rescued. But people sometimes misunderstand me and they think that I had somebody who I had to ban recently off my channel because he kept insisting that I promised everyone that ET was going to evacuate all of us. No, I never said that. I never thought that. And that's not my understanding of the process.
This is an
So I think he got me
inner
mixed up with
job,
someone
right?
else.
We need to work on ourselves rather than looking out for specialists to save us, right?
Exactly. Absolutely.
It's an inner
Absolutely.
spiritual journey.
And if we do get evacuated, we don't even go straight to those worlds. There are other worlds and big ships that are populated by these beings who help us to get our health back. So here on Earth, our bodies are being used as filters for all kinds of toxic waste, heavy metals.
Yes.
This is by design, because
Yep.
otherwise these things would build up and build up. But because we have our livers, we can detoxify a lot of pollutants, right? With our bodies, we're being used for that. So our bodies are very toxic, not to mention pharmaceuticals, smart
Yes.
dust, you name it. So we go to one
Fluoride.
of these interim places to detoxify, not just physically. We detoxify our DNA, we detoxify our minds, our thinking, our programming. And once we get to a healthful position, then we can decide where and how we want to live. And we're given a lot of free will on that. So that is really awesome. And then the actual resettlement program is to rescue beings. Sometimes they're on planets where their sun is going supernova or the poles are shifting or who knows what, right?
Mhm.
And they may need to be evacuated. But again, it's only going to be people who could raise their frequencies. Now, some people have challenged me on that and said, well, that's not fair. Doesn't everyone deserve the right? And everyone does get the right, because I'm going to tell you something. According to ET and my own senses, when we die, that's not the end. That is us, like the butterfly climbing out of the chrysalis. We go on to other lives. And so the thing is that, say someone is really screwed up and a psychopath here on earth, and they would not get evacuated off, but they would come back into life in many different ways. They might come back as ETs, they might come back as humans, they might come back as animals, to learn the lessons and to do the refining process. So then they would be ready to join um, these ET beings and other beings that are too far ahead of us, but like I said, at our next stage of development. So it's not really cruel, but you can understand the reason why. Can you imagine if the whole mess just got taken up and put on a world? It would be a disaster, and they're not going to do that, you know. And
Yeah,
plus,
because
we're
we
here.
could only destroy that planet.
Yeah,
We they wouldn't allow us to go into their ships to mess with the community, right? So they
that's
would
right.
prefer to leave us down here
Yep,
and doing the recycling until they kind of learn the lesson,
yep.
right?
Absolutely. So that was, I mean, this is just the tip of the iceberg. I know people say, oh, you just want to sell books, Karen. And yeah, I do, because the information's so valuable. It is so incredibly valuable. And, you know, we're always given these stories about the Greys coming and sticking things up our butts and
Yeah,
scaring the hell out of us. But no one's telling the beautiful experiences that are also happening that might even be more real, but they're in transdimensional spaces. So the good beings, they're transdimensional. They are able to come and go. Now we're seeing more and more transdimensional orbs. There's two kinds of orbs, maybe even more, but two that I know
mhm,
of here on Earth. One is an ancient, very ancient surveillance system that's actually protecting our world from nefarious ETs. But then the other kind of orbs that Chris Bledsoe talks about in his book UFO of
mhm.
God. And he and many other people are having experiences where they're seeing these beautiful orbs of pulsating color and energy, and they talk to them and they say, I have friends that do this, and they say, come closer, come closer, I want to take your picture, and can you flash for me while I'm filming? And they do,
Yes,
they
yes.
respond.
I've happened to me, sister.
Okay, then you
It's
know.
happened to me. I was like some months ago. I was in a little bit a lower, weaker part of my life. My mom passed away, and I was so lucky. I saw like 10 golden UFOs passing. Um, it was there was a building in front of my garden, like a kilometer away, and it had Christmas lights. And the funniest thing is that they were showing themselves on the top of the building, and they're kind of out at sea, because I live 9 kilometers from the sea,
Mhm.
and so they were w- further away. But there's an a stage that I'm asking. I've seen like eight, and I'm asking them, please, can you appear on the camera? And they did it straight after, and two of them appeared on the camera. So sometimes
Beautiful.
we have to ask.
And also, they often will appear to people that are going through emotional pain and suffering.
Yes.
And, I'm really sorry you lost your mom. I lost my mom too. It's really hard to lose your mom. You don't realize until they're gone how hard it is. But
Yeah.
um, they are
And
more
I had
inclined
lost
to
my
come when we're
father.
in pain. Pardon?
I had lost my father in 2009, so it was the last parent. So I think I was hurt stronger when it was my father, but my mom is a big power, and she's the one who created me. So I did feel really low when she passed away,
Yeah,
but
because now you were
slowly
an
getting better.
now you are an orphan. I know it sounds funny because we're not little children, but we're still orphans.
Yeah, and I'm
So,
41, and I only have aunts. I don't have any
yeah,
grandparents anymore. I only
yeah.
have three aunts, and I have one which is in hospital, my aunt
Oh
Maria.
dear.
So a big prayer for her. But still, now it's for the children. Now it's all for the children.
Mm-hmm.
It's their
Mm-hmm.
time now. Of course, it's my time to as well live a little bit, but my living right now is these interviews and the family and searching for the truth. I kind of have the feeling of the talk with you and many other of our friends of what's happening, but I do like to know other people's perspectives, and
Mm-hmm.
slowly we will connect all the dots. I hope.
Mm-hmm. I hope so
But stay
too.
here as well. I want to stay here. I hope
Yeah.
when I connect all the dots, I don't go. You know what I mean? So I enjoy the journey.
Mm-hmm. Keep searching for sure.
Karen Holton, I know we're on
Yeah,
time. Do you
I have to go soon, but you know what? In March, I
want
want
to
to
end
come
with
back at
the
the end of
conclusion?
March and do part
Yes.
two, if that's okay.
Oh, beautiful. I'm glad you have more to share with us.
Oh, lots more. Yeah, lots more.
I really enjoyed it. Sister, final declarations from for you for today.
Well, I want to tell everybody if they're interested in different kinds of contact, to be brave and to not dismiss. Don't gaslight yourself. I guess that's what I want to say. We're gaslit by everybody. I know I even will gaslight myself. Don't gaslight yourself. You don't have to name what's happening, but allow yourself to experience being fully human. That's our God-given right and talent. No one can take that away from us. And it's so beautiful because it melts away whatever else is going on in the world that's pretty gross and upsetting right now. And if you've got religion, you don't have to get rid of it, you can keep it. Prayer is powerful. Prayer is interdimensional contact. Absolutely. And
Yes.
the other thing is practice love, but practice it towards yourself, because until we master love towards ourselves, it's really not that great to try to love other people. We think we're loving them, but you need to love yourself. And when you love yourself and you take really good care of yourself, that naturally spills over to your children and your old folks in your society. And I think we can become the change we want to see in this world. We can do it. We have the power. Don't let anyone tell us that we don't have the power. We have the
Yes.
power. And it's awesome. That's what I want to say.
Love is great, sister. That's what keeps me here every day, sister, is
Yeah.
family love my wife, and all of us who talk once in a while, but every time we talk, it's almost like we just saw each other yesterday, right?
Yeah. It's beautiful. It is so beautiful. And we don't ever have to be lonely, you know? We got this, and there's a field that we're all connected to, and everything is connected to it. And it's just so awesome. And I'm glad I found out, and I'm glad that I've had my experiences. I'm very, very grateful. And oh yeah, everybody come check me out on at Karen Holton TV. If you want to
Find the link
check out some of
immediately.
my videos, more of my experiences, I do all kinds of things. Yeah, I'm having a good time doing it too.
Here you go.
Oh, thank
Karen,
you.
amazing, amazing. Thank you so much. I'm so sorry I took this long to not remember, but to fix a date.
Oh no, don't worry about it. It's all good.
And
And you know
I'm
what? I
happy we're
believe
gonna
this
see each
stuff
other in a month.
happens. I think it happens at the right time for the right people, and it just flows, and it's all beautiful. So don't worry about that at all.
I'm
I'm
feeling the
very
healing
grateful.
energies already. Karen, I already feel better from my shoulder pain.
Oh, good, good. Sending much love out to everybody.
Thank you very much, my sister. Karen, it's a date, not a date, but it's on my calendar,
Okay.
26th of March, 9 p.m. again to continue this beautiful talk. Thank you very much once again, and have a
Okay.
wonderful afternoon. Sorry, you're still afternoon. I'm evening now.
That's okay. You're like 8 hours
10 o'clock.
ahead of me. Yeah. So anyway, I hope you have a wonderful evening. Much love to your family, and we'll see you again. And much love to all your audience. And you guys are awesome. Keep up the good work. I'll say
Thank you
bye
very
bye
much.
for now.
Everybody connect with my sister Karen Holton. Karen, you can go now whenever you want. You can just leave. I'm gonna put
Okay.
the last music and then I'm gonna close it off for today.
Okay. Okay. Much love, my brother. Take good care. Bye bye.
Big hug and blessings. Okay, my friends, I'm gonna put a music to finish off. Actually, I'm gonna put the music and my brother Andy Gambino. Beautiful, beautiful AI video he's done. Y- BJs, if you're watching, okay. James, my brother. Ideas revolutionary. We'll give a blue wrench up to everybody. The community. Keep an eye on new ways. We can support instead of compete. Now everyone dance to the beat of a beat. Here comes the Confira. Word of mouth. He loves you and you and even me love. And his wife and kids. Thank you, Wasamatao. Thank you, Andy. Thank you, Karen, my sister. Much love, everybody. My brother Gigi is online now, so if you want to go there, the Gigi Show. Yeah. Word 'em up. 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 Thank you, Wasa. I love the music, man. Super Dave. Portuguese to set them free. Down on our knees. Downloads. Webfo. Liti. Love. Word 'em up. Word 'em up. Can be to see too slowly. Full of wood, guys. Okay, so guys, join us at the Gigi show right now, okay? I'll show you. This is my brother Gigi, guys, and he's almost 1K. Please help me. Okay, it starts in 20 minutes, okay? I'm sorry, guys. It starts in 20 minutes. Join us. I'm one of those guys on the left or the right, okay? Maybe not this one. I don't have blue eyes. Maybe I'm this one. And Wally is this one. Okay, maybe Andy is this one. And I'm this one. I'm the left eye and Wally's the right eye. This is Andy Gambino, guys, who did the video. This video here. I'll show you once again. BJs, please don't be jealous, okay, BJs? I love you as well, brother. Okay, so Roger, if you want to post Big Dwarf's link, you are welcome, my brother. Everybody, check my brother, Bigfoot Dwarf. I'll check him out. I have him here. Wait a second. No, it's not here. Amel. Okay, please check my brother, Brown Dwarf, Bigfoot Dwarf. Our beautiful man. Check him out. I'll show you. You go here, you press this little arrow and says copy link. You copy the link, then you come back here to my Gigi's a male. Yes, he's a Gigi's a male, a gorilla gamer. Okay, my friends, I'm gonna have to go to my sister Karen Holton because she just posted a video.
Have opinions about him, that's okay, but I myself have never found a reason not to trust him, and he's going by the information he's been given by authorities. And we know that authorities, well, I guess we learned from Richard Doty that there's a huge disinformation campaign going on too. So Dr. Stephen Greer may have some information that's not accurate. He may have some information that is. He believes that the ETs are benevolent. He thinks similar to me that if they wanted to cause us harm, they would have done so long time ago. They're so far advanced from us. But then I started watching some David Icke, and you know how he's been talking about the reptilians. I know, before you get mad at me, not all reptilians are evil, but obviously some are. And he's been talking about this for over 20 years, 25, maybe even longer.
Yes.
Years. And so he claims that the royal family and different people in power are actually
King Charles,
reptilians,
he's
but
the
they're
Antichrist,
able to
I've heard.
disguise themselves, cloak themselves, whatever. So maybe that's true. I also very much like...
Okay, let's go for the next video. She just posted it, guys.
I'm going to tell you something that happened to me on my birthday that really emphasized it for me. Because sometimes I doubt my gut. Sometimes I just doubt what I'm sensing. And you know, so on my birthday, I had a package that my sister had sent me, and I put it away until my birthday, and then I wanted to open it up, and I looked everywhere, I couldn't find it. And I remember taking it out of the drawer, putting it on my dresser. I remember that. But it wasn't there. And I was like going crazy, tearing the house apart, trying to find it. And then I sat on my bed cross-legged and went into a bit of a meditative state. And I asked myself to show me where this parcel was. And I kept thinking, oh, did I put it here? Did I put it there? And I went, no, I have to shut off my mind. I have to shut my mind off just for a minute so the incoming message can come in. And boom, I saw clearly in my mind where it was. So my cats had knocked it off the dresser, and it had slid between two objects that were kind of parked in beside my dresser. I never would have found it in a million years. I never would have seen it there. There it was, pulled it out, and I had my package, and I was so relieved. But it also taught me, Karen, trust your instincts. And I want to share all of that with you. I'm going to tell you something that happened to me on my...
I hope you enjoyed, my friends. Seven, where are you? We need you, my brother. Okay, my friends, we're gonna finish off with Mama Bear's music. Let me see where it is. Geez, I don't have it here. It's on this phone. Okay, my friends. John P. loves ya. Debs, thank you very much for joining us. Okay, this is my brother Brown Dwarf here. Please check him out.
Splits Texas and Oklahoma as well, right? If I'm not mistaken.
We're gonna do...
Oh no, is that Brown Springs?
John P.
Yeah, that's Brown Springs. I'm getting
my
it
friends, have a wonderful evening.
I don't know why I was thinking Brown
I'm gonna eat
Springs.
something and I'm gonna
River,
rest
your
a little bit.
connection there?
My
Someone
shoulder
in the
is
chat
still a
let me
bit
know.
aching.
Is the giant one called Dugway?
Welcome to a new planet. John P. loves it, my people. Thank you very much, Debs. You're amazing. Everybody, thank you. Wasa, Super Dave, and Roger, and above everything, my friends, Karen Holton. You're amazing, my sister. John P. loves ya. Bye-bye.